So here's the thing. I cannot believe that there's no one on YouTube that has ever posted anything in reference to deleting the cab lights and putting in brand new LED smoke filtered lights. So it looks like I'm gonna have to show you. So one of the first things you got to do is you got to pull down this center part here, this center console. And yeah, the rumors are true. All you got to do is grab it with your hands and pull it down straight down. It's going to sound like it's cracking and popping, but if you grab the whole thing at once, it's only in there by these 4 little clips. I can get a good view of the clip. There's one little clip right there. And they just fit in up there. So pulling them down nice and hard, they'll pop loose. And as you can see, there's one of the lights up there that are screwed in from with a bolt, which does not lend itself easily to changing. So I'm going to have to remove the headliner to get the other 4 out of here. If you have office hands, go ask somebody that doesn't have office hands to do it. Just pull it down. Next, I'm going to have to remove these 2 screws to get the visor out of here. And there's also some screws on the other side behind here. And I'm going to pull this as well. And then the other side. And then because this has a sunroof, I'm going to have to pull this piece here, pull it off. And that way I can at least drop the headliner down so I can get to the bolts on the other 4 lights. Now if you have a DVD player and you got one of these in your visor, it's going to be a little trickier. And if that doesn't unplug, it's just going to have to hang. So you're going to have to be careful about pulling the headliner down. As well as you're going to have to take these down as well. There's just a little cap right here. And take that cap off. And there should be a screw underneath it. And you get to remove that as well. And this is on of course, the passenger side. And when you're taking these things out, it's just a little screwdriver, flathead, and these pull right out. And there's like a little bolt underneath. And just for reference, this is a 7mm. Now, if you have a sunroof like I do, you're going to need to pull this back. And this comes off pretty easily. The whole thing comes off. These big handles also need to come down so that you can free up this area here where it's still holding the headliner. So I'm just going to pop these off, take the bolt out. Also for reference, these are 8mm. To get these off, you just take a little screwdriver and kind of pull on one side, then the other, and the other side, and back and forth, because, well, all they are is these little things that kind of just have a barb on them, and you just have to pull them loose a little bit at a time. I think they come off pretty easy. All right, now that both sides are down, center's down, both handles are, well, I mean, they are removed. I just left them on there because they're just on there by one screw. I also took the mirror off so it can come down pretty easily. And the mirror just slides off that little peg there that's glued to the window. And for reference only, those bolts are 10 millimeter. I'm going to pull those out, undo that clip, and it should come right off. Well, here's an example of a side-by-side comparison. This, of course, being the original equipment, this being the replacement. But here's an example of some very poor engineering. Light bulb. This is supposed to fit into there. Well, how can it fit into there if this piece is being replaced? So it really should have a piece to fit this. But it doesn't. So there's going to have to be an adapter for this to go into. Either that or I cut this thing out of that and hide it in the roof somewhere, and then it would work. But that seems like a kind of a pain in the butt. But if these things are $10 a piece, like these are, this is for the to replace one of the bad connectors on the back on the side panel lights. So that's not the right number. I might just end up having to cut this piece out just so that I can have an adapter. So being very careful to use all of my PPE, personal protective equipment, I decided just to cut the piece out, and that should work just fine, and it saves me quite a bit of money. Very poor engineering on if you ask me, for this new equipment, but if you do it right and you're careful, you can cut them out and it'll work. And these are the two wires. This is going to go into the plug that I just cut off of the original piece, and then that's going to fit in the other side where the bulb was, but this end's going to stay, of course, inside the cab of the truck. Alright, well, both of them are now bolted up in, so I just had to find a couple washers and lock washer, and of course, and some nut and bolt. They're bolted up in. This is all plugged in now. Remember, this is the piece that I cut off of the original equipment, and it's now plugged into where the light goes. So it should be working nicely now. And there's the first one, finished product. And I'm not going to bore you with all the rest of the details. All the rest of them are pretty much the same. It's a time of truth, and I'm going to save you a lot of heartache and grief. Did I ever get... Am I ever that lucky? Am I ever... 1, 2... Oh! The end one. Okay, well, if it's not lit up, then you know the polarity is wrong. So change the plug around before you button everything up. That'll save you a lot of heartache and grief. Thanks for watching.